Nicole Tsai is a member of the new federal state of China. That organization's mission is to bring down the Chinese Communist Party as well as root out Communist Chinese Party, the Chinese Communist Party infiltration into the federal government.
Well, Rome is not built in one day, and the CCP's infiltration in this country has been going on for decades. And we saw that those congressional members and former senators and former U.S. congressmen are coming from both parties, from both aisles. And this is a natural result of America's long-standing policy toward the communist China. That is a policy of condoning and appeasing. And when CCP starts to act aggressively, there's never been any accountability. So why would you expect the CCP to stop aggression when there's never ever been any accountability or consequence?
Nicole, how did we, as the most powerful nation in the world, the United States, and even with Joe Biden at the helm, I still believe we are, how did we get to a point where the Chinese have such influence inside the United States government?
Well, it's money. Politicians look for votes and money, and the CCP knows how to deliver that. So that's why the CCP has established so many front organizations in this country, directly controlled by the CCP's central leadership in Beijing. And those are the front organizations. You can find it in LA, San Francisco, New York. And they are carrying out the orders directly from Xi Jinping. And so they are the ones who got involved in the local politics. They can actually elect a candidate into the House of the Representatives. And they can also influence the decisions to be made at the DOJ, the White House, the executive branch. Mike Gallagher, the chairman of the Select Committee on Communist China, he said it's time for the Congress to start enforcing the Foreign Agent Registration Act on all the people, no matter who you are, who have been acting on behalf of the CCP. And so I think that probably half of the people in D.C., New York, or the city of London should be registered under the FARA Act, the Foreign Agent Registration Act.
You know, it's interesting, Nicole, because I say the Chinese, and when I talk about the Chinese, I mean the Chinese Communist Party runs the government in China, owns so much property in the United States, they're buying up farmland, all these things. You know what else they own? They own our politicians. They own our government. You and I were talking earlier. I said they're not just in the back door. They're not just in the backyard. They're not just knocking on the back door. They're in our house, Nicole.
Absolutely. And the CCP has apparently adopted an ancient Chinese war strategist, Sun Tzu's art of war, that is to subdue the enemy without having to fight. So this is not about a warfare using the kinetic military confrontation. The CCP has weaponized the U.S. federal government agencies, the U.S. justice system, the DOJ, FBI, IRS, and SEC to launch an assault on the U.S. Constitution and to take away America's liberty and freedom. So this is like winning a war without fighting. And so America is still sleeping. And I urge the U.S. Congress to launch an investigation into CCP's enemy number one, Moscow's case. Moscow is now facing more than 70 lawsuits brought against him by the CCP, by Xi Jinping and Wang Qishan in Beijing. The CCP want to destroy Mr. Moscow and the movement that he's been leading to take down the Chinese Communist Party because Moscow knows how to take down the CCP.
Well, anybody that's powerful is going to go after them is probably going to be in the crosshairs of the Chinese Communist Party. And then you look across governments. Is it just the federal government, or have they infiltrated themselves into state legislatures and state houses across the country as well?
I'm very sure, because if you look at another Daily Caller article, and that article was investigating into how a mayor of a city in California, his name is Stephen Shan, now he was alleged to be a member of the CCP's front organization, part of the CCP's Intel group. So imagine this guy has been elected into a mayor in the city of California.
Did you ever think that we'd have a sitting United States president who offers up a guy like Dominic Ng, whose employer just admitted that he took part in as an executive director, albeit honorary, with two groups that intelligence analysts say are front groups for Chinese intelligence and influence, and a president offers him up to represent the United States?
Well, Dominic Ng's story is just a tip of the iceberg. There are so many people who are doing exactly the same thing as Dominic Ng. For example, you just mentioned the story about the American proxies for CCP in keeping TikTok in the United States of America. There were former powerful U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen, and congressional staffers from both aisles. And also in the case of Huawei, it was reported that this current administration, Biden administration's senior advisor, John Podesta's brother, Tony Podesta, he was a key lobbyist for Huawei. He was working on behalf of the CCP to keep Huawei's business as usual. And so there's so many people we can talk about. And this is exactly what Ms. Mao's school had been pre-warning the United States of America. Yeah. When he first came to this country, he said, CCP has a precise scheme to take down America, and that's called the 3F scheme: foment weakness, foment chaos, and foment destruction. Now it's happening right before our eyes.
Well, this is why he helped find the new federal state of China with Steve Bannon, and it's why we fight, as the term goes. Nicole Tsai, thank you so much for coming on the program, as always. I always appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And please follow nfscofficial.com and follow Ms. Mao's School and NFSC Speaks on Getter. Thank you so much.